Hello everyone. Welcome to SS EDUCARE Teaching Learning channel. Thank you for all my subscribers. Those who still didn't subscribe, please subscribe and watch my videos. Your support is my strength. Let's go to our channel. Story of the day. Once a monk with his disciples went for a walk to the banks of the river. There they saw some people of the same family talking with each other. Suddenly, don't know what happened, they were all shouting against each other. So the monk asked his disciples, why were they shouting at each other? One of the disciples said, the person who is shouting might have lost his peace in anger. He might have lost his patience also in anger. Then monk continued to ask, why people shout at each other when they were so close they could have tell it in low voice? When the other person to whom he is shouting is standing so close, why should they shout? Why should he shout? He could have told it in a low voice. There's no answer of the disciple. Then monk said, if people shout at each other, their hearts get distance. And if they get angrier more, when they become more angrier, their hearts even move far away from each other. When the hearts move very distant from each other, they can't hear their voice. So they have to shout at each other. That is what is happening with people. So if we move distant from each other, if we get more angrier, we have to move distant from each other. And we have to shout at each other. Then one of the disciples asked, okay, this is about shouting at each other. What if two people love each other? Then monk said, if they love each other, there is no need of shouting. Their hearts will become very close. They both will be very close and both of their voices will be heard clearly. And one of the disciples again asked, what if they are in very deep love with each other? Then monk said, if they are in deep love, then their heart will be even more closer, very close with the other one. And then there is no need of talking. They can understand easily by the mind voice. That is what monk replied. So, this is the story for the day. What is the moral of the story? In anger, don't let your heart get distant. And moreover, in anger, don't let your words, so that the two hearts will become distant. Once if it gets distant, there is no chance of returning back. Welcome back. In my today's video, I am going to start up with chapter 5, Transpiration. This chapter is little bit continuation of last chapter. This chapter is very small chapter also. Okay, anyway, let us talk about transpiration. What is transpiration actually? Transpiration is loss of water that is absorbed by the plant. From where the plant is absorbing or getting this water? It is from the soil. So, from soil, if the plant is absorbing 100% of water, 90 to 95% is being evaporated as water vapor. Only 5% of water that is absorbed from the soil is taken by the plant. That 90 to 95% of water, that is excess water, plant doesn't need it. So what plant is doing? It is evaporating and sending it out, because plant keep on working very hard during photosynthesis process. What is this photosynthesis process? It's the plant continuously getting, or the plant is receiving the sun's heat. Due to sun's heat, the water, whatever is present in the plant, will get evaporated as water vapor. So that water vapor is called as the loss of water in the form of water droplets or in the form of water vapor is called as transpiration. So this chapter is about transpiration completely. Let's go to the topic. What is transpiration? How do we define transpiration as? It is the process of loss of water in the form of water vapor from the surface of aerial parts, mainly from leaves. As I already said, from which parts the water will get evaporated and be sent out? It is from the aerial parts of the plant. What is this aerial parts? What are the aerial parts of the plant? The parts that are exposed to the sunlight are called as aerial parts. What are they? They are stem, they are leaves. The stem, leaves are the aerial parts of the plant. Flowers, buds they are temporary parts, so those are not included as aerial parts. The leaves and the stems are called as aerial parts of the plant. In this aerial parts, especially leaves are responsible for evaporating and sending the water due to sun's heat. Why? Because most stem is also responsible, but we talk mainly from leaves, because we all of us know the leaves have stomata. In my previous video, I told you stomata has two bean-shaped cells called as God cells. This God cells helps in opening and closing of stomata. So there comes this mechanism. Opening and closing of stomata or God cells. What is this God cells? When will it open? When this water vapor is going out. When will it close? When the air completely enters inside, or when the water has been completely lost, it again closes. That is what is the function of stomata. So where is this stomata present in the plant? It's on the leaves. So most of the transpiration occurs in the leaves. That is what is the definition of transpiration. Next, this loss of water has the effect of pulling water up through xylem. See, the loss of water, how is water going? In the form of vapor. So this, as water is getting evaporated, again the plant, it needs water. As I said, what if more than 95% of water is getting evaporated for the plant? Plant needs 5% for its regular metabolism. Even for photosynthesis, we have written, in my previous video, I have written the equation of photosynthesis, where we have written water as raw material for the plant. What is raw material? For example, I am taking a sambar. So for making the sambar, what all items I need? Yes, I need dal, I need vegetables, I need water, I need spices, I need salt, I need chili powder, I need tamarind, oil. All these are what? Raw materials. With this raw materials, I will prepare sambar. Same way, what is the raw materials for the plants? It's the water and carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide plant is getting from atmosphere. Water it is getting from the soil. Isn't it? So, this water that plant needs for photosynthesis, this water it needs. So, what if more than 95% is evaporated as water vapor? So, as water is getting evaporated, plant keeps on pulling water from the soil. In our previous chapter, we have seen the roots have the immature xylem. This immature xylem helps in storing water, swollen parts, imbibition. The root hairs will become swollen so that extra water will be stored there. Whenever plant needs in excess during summer season, there will be more percentage of evaporation. We cannot say that it's only 90%, 95% is fixed for the plant. There will be a meter in front of the plant, so that when that meter reaches 95%, plant will stop transpiring. There's nothing like that. Plant doesn't have eyes like us to see. There's no meter kept for the plant, isn't it? So, we cannot estimate the correct rate of transpiration. Moreover, in winter season, the percentage may decrease. In summer season, the evaporating rate may increase. So we cannot say. So by depending on the season and depending on the transpiration rate, plant will try to pull water from the soil through xylem vessels. Next example, sunflower. Sunflower plant, we all of us know. Sunflower, we have a school song also. When I was in school days, our school song is like a sunflower. What this sunflower does? It turns, while sun rising, the sunflower beautifully turns its head towards sun. Likewise, we should also follow the path of the God is the prayer actually for us. So sunflower transpires 1 to 2 decimeter cube of water per day. See, it's only 1 to 2 decimeter cube of water per day. Sunflower. See the percentage of water. I said it may be 94 to 95%. Then large oak tree. Oak trees are very, very tall trees. Large oak trees transpire 600 decimeter cube per day. Sunflower is medium heighted plants, but large oak tree is such a tall plant. The tallness, we have yesterday seen it. Capillarity, that is the pulling up of water, the transpiration pull, isn't it? So large oak trees or large trees would lose excess water, more water. See, that is 600 decimeter cube per day. This is about introduction of transpiration. Next is, let's demonstrate. People believe only when they see it experimentally with their own eyes. They don't believe, they want proof. If I say that he is so good, he will never copy in the exam, other students will ask, Madam, do you have any proof for that? We have seen him writing, seeing from others and writing so many times. So people believe only when they see it by their eyes. Isn't it? I keep telling plant loses water, excess water by transpiration due to sun's heat. How do you believe me? Yes. Let's look at this experiment. This experiment to demonstrate transpiration. Yes, what are we doing? We are taking a well-watered plant. Before conducting this experiment, I am watering this plant thoroughly. Then cover this complete potted plant with a polythene bag like this, and I am tying it with knot on the above so that there is no gap or open. So why am I covering this polythene bag? To prevent water vapor. To prevent water getting evaporated from the plants, I am closing it with the polythene bag. Next, after some time, you can keep the same setup for 1 to 2 hours. Then after some time, you can see water droplets on the inside the polythene bag, it's inside the polythene bag. What is it? What is transpiration? Loss of water in the form of water droplets or as vapor. If the polythene bag is not there, if the plant is kept open, definitely water could have been evaporated and went as water vapor. But it is closed. All the vapor will transform into gas, gets converted into liquid, isn't it? The same, I'll tell you an example. Let me take a vessel, I am boiling it. The boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So the water has reached that 100 degrees Celsius. Now if I am not closing that vessel, all the water, since it is very high, it has reached 100 degrees Celsius, all the water will get evaporated and the vessel would become empty. The stove will be on only. The same case, I am closing the vessel with the lid, I am start boiling the water. After some time, the vapor keeps on increasing. The temperature, as temperature is increasing, the vapor is also increasing. What will happen? The plate, the vapor will get converted into liquid, and when you open the lid, you can see water droplets falling into the water. That is what is happening for the plant also. This experiment shows that transpiration is occurring in the plants. That is, plant loses water in the form of water droplets. Next is, how will you measure this transpiration rate? So the measurements of transpiration by different methods. First method is weighing method. Weighing method. So I have drawn a setup where I have taken 2 meter scales, 2 test tubes and 2 leaves which is inserted into the test tube. The leaf is connected to the test tube by a cork. Let this test tube be A and this test tube be B. Fill the test tubes with water first. These 2 test tubes are filled with water. Insert a fresh leaf through a cork hole. This cork is initially inserted with the test tube, and then we will put a hole on the cork so that we will insert the petiole of the leaf. What is petiole? The stalk of the leaf. The stalk where the leaf is attached to the stem is called as petiole. So that stalk part is inserted through the hole of the cork. Apply Vaseline to both the surfaces of leaf B, leaving A as such. They mean the Vaseline or oil, Vaseline, especially petroleum jelly or Vaseline, we will apply. Why? Because to avoid evaporation. So the vapor or heat, whatever it is, it doesn't pass through this Vaseline. Since the nature of that will be very, very thick and dense, water vapor will not pass through it. That is why they are asking us to apply Vaseline on both the surfaces, top surfaces and bottom surface of the leaf of test tube B, leaving A as such. We are not applying Vaseline on leaf A. Hang them on spring balance. This test tube, after this complete setup, they are hanging it to a spring balance on both sides. Since we have meters here, we can also call it as a meter scale or meter scale of a spring balance. Note the initial weights. So before starting the experiment, we are noting the weights of the test tubes along with the leaves, both the test tubes. This meter scale will show some weight, initial weight of the 2 test tubes. This one will show the weight of this this meter scale will show the weight of this test tube. Yes. Petiole of each leaf should be inserted in the tube. Keep the setup in open air. So we are keeping the complete setup in open air for 1 to 2 hours. After 2 hours, note down the weights again. I said initially before starting the experiment, we are weighing the weight of test tube A and weight of test tube B, which shows the reading in this meter scale. Then after the complete setup kept in the open air for 1 to 2 hours, again we are weighing and checking the weights. Let's see what's the inference. Weight loss in A, but there's no weight loss in B. Why there is no weight loss in B? We have applied Vaseline on the top and lower surface of the leaf. So the water is not getting evaporated. The water is not getting escaped from the leaves. This Vaseline protects the water inside the plant only. But leaf A, we didn't apply any Vaseline for it. So what happens? The water gets easily evaporated and transpiration process occurs in leaf A. That is what is the inference of this experiment. This is one of the experiment to weigh the rate of transpiration. Second method of weighing transpiration rate is by Photometer. Photometer is an apparatus used to measure the rate of water loss from chute, which is equal to water lost through transpiration. So, apparatus used to measure the rate of water loss from chute. How much water is being lost through transpiration from chute is equal to water lost through the plant. So, throughout the process. Okay. This is measured by an instrument called as photometer. Then, this photometer is of two types or two varieties of photometer. They are Genong's photometer and Darwin's photometer. Number 1, Genong's photometer. This is the apparatus of Genong's photometer. So, the twig is inserted. This is the twig. A small part of the plant along with the leaves is called as twig. This is twig. This twig is inserted. Where is it inserted? It is inserted to a bent tube like thing with a cork inside. So this twig is inserted through the cork inside the tube. Entire apparatus is filled with water. So this tube is like a bent moving towards and is getting again inserted to a beaker of water, where you have this, can I call it as a capillary tube? So through this tube only there is rise or decrease in the water level. So this tube is called as capillary tube. So there is a meter scale here and there is an air bubble here. Okay. Then to this setup parallelly there is one more type of open tube like thing where water is being filled. So throughout this apparatus, the entire apparatus is filled with water first. Then air bubble is introduced into the capillary tube. So this is your capillary tube. Air bubble is slowly introduced into the capillary tube, dipped in beaker. So this tube is dipped in a beaker of water. Due to transpiration, and leave this apparatus in the open air for some hours, 1 to 2 hours. So due to transpiration, suction pressure is developed. What is pressure? I already told you in my last video. Pressure is the force acting on an unit area. So what is the area here? In this area. Whereas pressure will be created in this area and again in this area, where the actual transpiration is occurring here. So the effect of this transpiration is shown here. So the pressure will be acted on both the regions. The initial pressure will be here. What is this suction? Suction, sucking. You are taking a, for example, let me take a Sprite juice. I am pouring it in a glass. I am taking a straw and I am sucking it. What pressure is created to the bottom level of water? It is the suction. When I am sucking, some force I am taking it inside, so that pressure will be created down. That you call it as suction pressure. So due to transpiration, suction pressure is developed, which pulls the water. An air bubble moves. So what is happening? So transpiration is occurring here. Isn't it? Transpiration is occurring here. So what is it? This transpiration, water is being lost completely from the plant. Water it is losing. So as I already said, since it is losing water, it will again regain the water. From where? From this beaker of water. So this is what is the pathway of water going to the plant again. Whatever water, the plant keeps on losing water and it keeps on taking water also, as according to this apparatus. So when it is through this suction, this is sucking water up to the plant. This is up top surface of the plant is the leaf. Assume this leaf is applying that suction pressure. Sucking it up. So what happens? The beaker here, as we have introduced air bubble here, when water is going up, this air bubble also goes up. It moves. So on how much it is moving, the distance of how much the air bubble is moving, that is measured by meter scale. So we can measure easily the distance with the help of meter scale. Yes, that shows the rate of transpiration. So see, air bubble moves. The reading in the tube shows the amount of water lost. See how much initially it was here, assume. So after suction, it might be the water might be or the bubble might come here. So the distance measured, and they can easily assume or measure the level of water also. By that, how much water is lost is the transpiration rate. If the plant is losing so much of water, assume initially it was 1 liter inside. So after the end of the experiment, if you measure the level of water or the amount of quantity of water, it would be 500 ml. So 500 ml of water is being lost by the plant. That shows the rate of transpiration, whether it is the transpiration rate is too high or too low. That is what is Genong's potometer, not photometer. It is poto, H is not there. If H is there, photo means light. So that is not there. Here it is transpiration potometer. The second type of potometer is Darwin's potometer. In this Darwin's potometer is a tube like this. If you see, this is again, there is a bent tube, capillary tube we call. Wherever there is rise or decline in the water level, we call it as a capillary tube. Due to the pull, the water level rises or the water level goes down because of transpiration pull or suction pressure is called as capillary tube. So they have taken a long capillary tube in which the final tube is being inserted in a beaker of water, and this tube is again bent and U-tube. This is holding a twig here. So both the tubes and the opening or to the mouth corks is being attached. For this one, as there is no twig, what is the purpose of inserting cork? If the cork is not there, assume the water is left open. So due to sun's heat, this water may get evaporated. So to prevent that, they have closed the mouth of the tube here. And this one is closed so that there's two purposes: to avoid evaporation and to if this cork has a hole, so the petiole of the plant will be inserted inside. So that serves for two purposes. Then this tube downwards is also serving allowing the thin capillary tube in the beaker of water. As the plant keeps on losing water, it keeps on, what is happening? This water keeps on going and reaching the plant. That is what is second Darwin's potometer. So glass tube with side tube, twig is inserted into the through cork, upper end of the tube is lower with capillary tube. Then air bubble is inserted here. This is what is the air bubble. As water is going up, air bubble also keeps rising in its level. Bubbles movement gives the rate of transpiration. So that is what is potometer. Continuing with transpiration, let's see the next topic, types of transpiration. There are three types of transpiration. Since the plant has three aerial parts through which water can be lost. Number 1 is stomata, number 2 cuticle, and number 3 lenticels. See, types of transpiration. Water is being lost through aerial parts like stomata. Where is stomata present? Lower surface of the leaf in dicots and both the surfaces in monocots. Stomata, cuticle. Cuticle is the topmost layer of the leaves. Then in the lenticel. Lenticel are the cells that are present in the stem through which water can be lost. So these three parts, that is your stomata, cuticle and lenticels, water can be lost. So based on this, transpiration is divided into three types: stomatal respiration, cuticle transpiration and lenticel transpiration. First, stomatal transpiration. So this stomatal transpiration, as the name says, takes place through stomata. This stomata is present on the lower surface of leaf in dicots and both the surfaces in monocots. Then this stomatal transpiration depends on number of stomata, structure of stomata, the distribution of stomata That is, what is the number? Based on if more number of stomata is there, transpiration rate also will be very, very high. If less number of stomata is present, transpiration rate will be less. Then structure of stomata. If the stomata is like God cells are being like bent, if the leaf is folded, what will be the nature of stomata? The God cells may not be intact like this. So transpiration rate also will decrease. Then distribution. Distribution in the sense all the stomata should be evenly distributed throughout the lower surface of leaf. If very less number, if let me take in the corner of the leaf or in the tip terminal part of the leaf, there are more stomata, and afterwards there is no stomata, and in the middle part of the leaf there is more stomata again, and in the petiole, near the petiole part, near the edge of the leaf, there are more stomata. Where the stomata has not been distributed evenly, then consider the rate of transpiration rate would decrease. Then based on opening and closing of stomata also, during this transpiration, water due to the pressure created or due to the vapor. So when vapor rises, pressure will automatically be created in the leaves. So during that pressure, water when it is raising up, the stomata has to open. If the stomata is not getting open, due to that even pressure keeps on increasing inside the leaves, so transpiration rate would decrease. So based on the number of stomata, based on the structure of stomata, and based on the distribution of stomata and opening and closing of stomata, the rate of transpiration depends. Next, 90% of water is lost only through stomatal God cells. So I said 95% of water is lost through transpiration. In that 90% is only through stomata. Remaining 5% is through cuticle and lenticel. Next, water vapor moves through the stomata of leaf by osmosis. By what process water is being lost? The very common process is osmosis. Osmosis is movement of water molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So this transpiration is also water vapor moves from who has higher concentration inside the leaf, who has lower concentration outside the environment, the atmosphere. When compared with that, during transpiration, I mean during the photosynthesis, so there the concentration will be very less. There in the sense atmosphere. Inside the plant, the concentration or the pressure will be more during transpiration. That is why it is moving from inside the leaf to the aerial, I mean atmosphere through semi-permeable membrane. Through water potential gradient. Water potential gradient. As I said now, there is difference in the potential of water. In the atmosphere, in the plant. Plant has more evaporated water where humidity of water will be very high during transpiration or during the formation of vapor. In the same way where in the atmosphere also has humidity. But when will it increase? When this vapor goes and reaches the atmosphere, there the humidity of the atmosphere increases due to the accumulation of water vapor in it. So that's the water potential gradient difference. Then strong adhesive forces. Adhesive in the sense cohesive is attachment, adhesive is separation. So strong adhesive forces form between the pores of cellulose, cell walls and water molecules. So what are the strong forces? This in my previous video I told you cohesive and adhesive forces. So this strong adhesive forces from they form between the pores of cellulose. Between cellulose, the plant has or the leaf has cellulose in it. So this cellulose will have small pores in it where through this pores more amount of water has to get evaporated, or in the sense more pressure will be created or more force will be created. What sort of force will be created? Adhesive force. So between the pores of cellulose walls and the water molecule. The water molecule keeps on hitting. okay, and starts producing vapor through these poles of cell wall, cellulose. Fine. So next, as water molecules are lost by evaporation, so what happens due to this force? The water keeps on getting evaporated. So water molecules are lost by evaporation and moved out of xylem. Xylem is holding this water. Xylem is a conducting tissue. Till that time xylem is holding this water. So due to this force and pressure created due to water vapor, what is happening? The xylem keeps leaves off this water, and this water will try to escape from xylem, and the water is pulled upwards due to cohesive force. Here I said adhesive force, here it is cohesive force. So when cohesive force is there, water is being completely lost. The detachment force is cohesive force. The attachment force is adhesive force. Then large number of mesophyll cells in the leaf. Leaves have mesophyll cells in the lower part, have their surfaces exposed to the intercellular spaces. What happens as the leaves have intercellular spaces? So as this process, cohesive force, water molecule, in between the cells you have spaces. The cells of the leaf will have spaces in between. So this spaces, intercellular spaces, will have water initially. So due to this evaporation, what will happen? The intercellular spaces, the water in between the intercellular spaces is being evaporated and leaves the intercellular spaces blank. Large number of mesophyll cells in the leaf have their surfaces exposed to intercellular spaces. So large number of mesophyll cells in the leaf. The leaf has this mesophyll cells which has intercellular spaces now without water. So this mesophyll cells are directly exposed to the intercellular spaces without water. Surfaces of cells gives out water as a thin film. So what is this surfaces doing? This surfaces will leave out the water. How? In the form of very thin film. This thin film finally evaporates. It's very easy if the water is in thin film. Easily gets evaporated and saturates the intercellular spaces. What is this saturation? So this intercellular spaces, as water is lost, it will have the decreased level of water. So what happens? That is why the water is not at a time, at a stretch is getting evaporated. It is slowly, it is forming a thin film, and remaining water will be there in the intercellular spaces. This thin film first evaporates so that intercellular spaces will have water here. As this forming thin film and gets evaporated, the next water level forms a thin film that gets evaporated, So there the intercellular spaces will not water at a time. Slowly that saturation level, slowly that water lost by the plant will occur, not like immediately at a stretch it will occur in transpiration. That is what they mean to say. So with this we end today's video by stomatal transpiration. In my next video, I will continue with types of transpiration and remaining part of this chapter. If you like my videos, please click like button, support me by subscribing my channel. Thank you for supporting me.